Welcome to kraft-tex University. I'm Betsy.
And I'm Galen. And today we're talking about dyeing. Not that kind of dyeing. Regular, like fabric dyeing.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, and we have a guest professor, so we don't have to do this alone.
That'll be fun. Lynn Koolish.
Lynn Koolish is the author of Fast Fun and Easy Fabric Dyeing and and contributor to Visual Guide to Art Quilting.
Yes.
I got it right.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, glad to have you.
You
We're
are our
excited.
first guest professor.
Oh, yay! This is exciting.
Yeah. So we're going to do dyeing today, and I just had a question because, we came out with some original colors, which are, these are some of the original colors we came out with, and then we came out with some other brighter colors. So why do I need to learn how to dye?
Because you can. That's the end answer. Well, the reason, there are a couple of reasons.
Out of your way.
One is because you can get all sorts of interesting patterns and effects that you can't get with a solid color. So we can take a look at a couple of these. These are ones where the kraft-tex was just pretty much crumpled up and stuffed in a bucket of dye.
Wow. That's amazing.
So this was done on white kraft-tex. This was done on the natural kraft-tex.
Oh, so having the different colors does make a difference.
It does, because dyes are all transparent. Right. So whatever's the base color is going to affect your final color. So dyeing over white's going to give you the brightest, clearest colors, but dyeing over the natural or the gray, and we have a sample of that coming up, it mutes it a little bit, so it just gives it a different effect.
That's really cool.
So that's just crumpling it up and sticking it into a container and pouring the dye on. Another technique that you can use to get a really cool pattern is you can fold it. So basically this one was just folded up, and you can see where the fold lines were. So fold it up and then dipped. So it's dipped in one color down here, a different color up here, and so that's why you get the different colors.
That is so cool.
And yeah.
Looks like a tiger stripes or
exactly.
something.
And here's another variation of that where it was folded on the diagonal.
Oh.
So another reason to dye is that you can get just different colors. So for example, if you're making something that's made out of, say, cotton fabric and kraft-tex, you can dye both your cotton and your kraft-tex together to get matching colors.
That's
or
cool.
if you already have fabric that you want and you want kraft-tex to go with it, you can dye your custom colors to match so they go together.
Okay. And you have always dyed lots of different fabrics, different clothing.
Yes.
So is it kind of similar techniques? If I have the same color, I can dye my cotton and my kraft-tex at the same time?
Yes, it's exactly the same. The dyes that we're going to talk about today and that we're going to look at when we go into the studio are called fiber reactive dyes, and they're designed to be used on plant-based fibers.
Okay.
So that's cotton, linen, rayon, bamboo, and kraft-tex.
Okay. So all your quilting cottons would
exactly dye exactly the same way. So if you've done any dyeing at all the techniques that you use on cottons you can use on kraft-tex.
Okay.
And did you notice she said when we go into the studio?
Yes.
We're going on a field trip?
We are.
To the other table.
Yes. So this is an example of just putting the kraft-tex down and pouring dye on top, kind of randomly, and just.
So this is two colors?
This is two different colors. There's a green and a blue. And then here's another example of one where I was a little more careful, where I put the chartreuse over here and the blue over here, and then just basically use my hands to merge them together.
Wow! So is this pattern here is just formed by the way?
It's just because it's just the way it moves around. This was just laid flat, so there's plastic underneath, and sometimes the plastic, if there's little bumps in the plastic, you'll get an
like
effect
leaves.
coming through.
Yeah,
it does.
it's gorgeous.
It's really cool. So that's another just really easy pouring the dye on. So that's another thing you can't get with that. Now I have a couple of other samples hiding under here, and so this one here is a good example of the difference between dyeing on the white kraft-tex and dyeing on the natural kraft-tex.
Oh, okay.
So this is the exact same dye, and you can see how the natural color is coming through and affecting the final color.
Totally different colors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is just an example of trying to put the dye on in a very solid manner and crumpling it up, so you get a lot of different pattern and variation.
Wow.
And so this is just another example of how you get kind of a muted color. This is over the gray.
Okay.
And now this one,
Whoa.
my favorite, I just did that last night. There's a technique called ice dyeing.
Okay.
And so basically what you do is you crumple up your fabric or your kraft-tex, you put ice cubes on top of it, and then you sprinkle your dye powder on top. And as the ice cubes melt, it liquefies, it creates the dye liquid, and because it distributes it in a very random manner.
God, that is
so you
cool.
get really cool effects.
And this looks really vibrant.
Yes.
So it was on white,
Because it's on the white and you can see the white through it.
but nothing about the ice makes it stronger.
No, there's nothing.
Right?
The ice just distributes the dye in very random and interesting patterns.
And again, this is just 2 colors, or is there more
There's
than 2
three.
colors?
This had 3 colors.
Okay.
There was a turquoise, there was a plum, and then there was another.
Because this is really dark here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's from the plum.
Okay.
And I think there was a fuchsia color in there. So
Okay.
there were 3 colors that were all blending together.
That's gorgeous.
So does that answer your question of why
It
you want to
does.
dye kraft-tex?
Yeah, I
because
want to
you
dye.
can.
So why don't we have a couple of examples of things that have been made from dyed kraft-tex that we should just take a quick look at. So this is an example. This is a little zippered pouch, and the kraft-tex was dyed by just pouring the dye onto the flat piece of kraft-tex and not trying to get it to cover evenly, but just kind of let it do what it wants to do. And if the kraft-tex is wet, when you pour the dye on, that's where you start to get some of these interesting patterns.
Oh, and that's white.
And that
This is on
started on white. This is another example. This is just a little notebook. And this is some of the kraft-tex. It started on white, where the kraft-tex was folded and dipped in purple and also dipped in yellow. So you get those really nice contrasting. And these are just some more little notebook folders. Again, you can see the vibrant colors that you get.
Wow.
Another example, this one has a couple of different.
And are these purple squares are dyed too?
Yes.
Because the color seems so much more consistent in this. So if we don't yet have a color of the kraft-tex that you want, you can dye it and it'll look very solid too.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to look modelly if you
Correct.
don't want
You
it.
can get it very solid looking.
Very cool.
Exactly. A pencil case, same kind of thing, and a notebook.
Yeah, look at the difference between
So-
the 2 sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really,
Because the kraft-tex, with dyed fabric, the 2 sides often look the same, but because the kraft-tex is really thick, the dye doesn't necessarily get through. So the 2 sides will definitely look differently. So those are just a couple examples of the kind of things that you can make with the dyed kraft-tex. But basically, anything that you can make with kraft-tex, you can make with dyed kraft-tex.
Right.
oh, I'm so excited.
So do we get to go to the studio now?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go to the studio.
Okay, so here we are in the studio. So before we get into actually dyeing some kraft-tex, I want to talk a little bit about the supplies that you need. Now don't worry, you don't have to take notes. There's not going to be a test, I don't think. But there will be a PDF that you can download that's going to have all this information on it. So the dyes that I like to use are called fiber reactive dyes. And that means that the dyes form a permanent bond with the material that you're dyeing. So it makes it very permanent. Now there are a number of places that you can get these dyes. I tend to get my dyes from a company called Dharma Trading, and you can order directly from them on the internet. And the dyes come in a couple of different sizes, so you can get small, you can get medium, or because I do a lot of dyeing, I tend to go for the jumbo size. Now this is their color chart. So these are all of the different colors that you can get with these dyes. So when Betsy was asking earlier, why do you want to dye your own kraft-tex? This is a good reason why, because of all the different colors. Another brand of dye that's easy to get a hold of is from a company called Jacquard. And it comes in these small jars, and you can get these at your local art supply stores. So if you want to just go out to the store and get some dye because you want to do something this afternoon, this is all you need. There's another company, and these dyes are called Dylon, and I've used these, so that's why I have the little clippy on them. These are also a permanent fabric dye, and these are often available in fabric stores or quilting stores. So this is yet a third brand of dye that you can use. So now, depending on the brand of dye you use, you might also need something called dye activator or soda ash. And what I do is I usually put my soda ash in a bigger container so I'm not dealing with a plastic bag all the time. So you'll see me using this when we're actually doing some dyeing. You need a dust mask because you don't want to be breathing the powdered dust. And this is what's called an N95. And this is the best kind of dust mask that you want to use. You need some gloves. Long ones are good. You need some measuring spoons. Now once you've used them for dyeing, you don't want to use them for food again. And then you need some plastic containers. You need some containers that you're going to be doing the dyeing in, and you need some containers to mix up your dye and your soda ash. Now this is an excellent reason for you to go to your local grocery store and you can get sorbet and you can get gelato. Save the containers. So that's pretty much all you need to do this kind of dyeing. So we're going to take a little break. I'm going to clear the table and then we're going to start in. Okay, so here we are. We've got plastic on the table. I've got my gloves on. I've got my mask handy. I'm not going to put that on until I actually start working with the dye powders because it's kind of hard to talk with it on. So
We're ready.
We're ready.
they're ready. They're ready. You know, I think you've overdone it just a tad.
Really?
Just a tad.
It's
Okay.
the goggles, maybe.
Well, you don't need the goggles.
I have to take this
The
off.
mask.
'cause
The
I can't
mask,
not great.
the mask you can take off because I'm going to be the one pouring the dye in the powder, and
Okay,
I'm going to
good.
have you just step a little bit a ways back.
Okay.
Caution tape, plastic's fine. It's up to you if you want to leave that on or not.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Okay, I'm good.
You guys ready? All right. So the first technique I'm just going to talk about, which is if you want to dye your fabric a really solid color, you need a lot of water to a little bit of kraft-tex. So for example, you might fill this 5-gallon bucket about 3/4 of the way up. We're not going to do it here because it's just too much water. And put this size kraft-tex in. You're going to put it in and then you're going to stir it around a lot, especially for the first hour. And it's going
a
to
bigger piece?
you could do a little bit bigger piece, but the idea is that if you want it really solid, it has to be able to float
okay.
free.
So, do you stir? Do you put your hand in and stir it? Or
If you
do
got a glove on, you can put your hand in, or you can use a big spoon,
wooden spoon or
a wooden
something?
spoon. You could use a stick if you had one.
Okay.
It's going to need to stay in the dye for at least 2 hours, but it's really important to move it around a lot for that first hour
To get totally solid.
to get a really solid color.
Okay.
Okay, so that's technique number 1. Let's get rid of this. Now for technique number 2, we're going to do something that's going to look like this. So to do that, I'm going to take that same size piece of kraft-tex, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crumple it up.
You like that part?
We like that part. We like crumpling.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to crumple it all up. And
So
I'm
this is
gonna-
about 12 by 12. What you're
Yeah.
crumpling? Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just going to stick it in this container. Okay?
Wow.
So now,
I can handle that so far.
I've got 2 containers of warm water. I've got my soda ash, I've got my dye, and I've got my measuring spoons. So now I'm going to put my mask on.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Okay. Step back just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't want to breathe this in.
You don't want to breathe it in. So I'm going to take this off for a minute. So I'm going to use the chart that's on the handout that's going to tell me how much dye and how much soda ash I need for the amount of kraft-tex that I'm going to dye. So I'm going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon of the dye. And I'm going to put it in here,
With the correct lid.
the correct lid. I'm going to give this to you.
Ooh. This looks like a magic trick. And then it's
know.
going to disappear.
And nope, you're going to shake it up.
And there's going to be a blue bunny.
And then just kind of be gentle.
Oh, sorry.
And then I'm gonna
Gentle shaking.
measure out the soda ash. I'm gonna put that in there.
Was that the same amount of soda ash and the same amount of dye?
Nope,
Okay.
it's not.
But it's on the sheet.
It's on the sheet.
Okay. There's a link below.
There's a link below. Okay. So Galen, you can
Yes.
shake that one up.
Gently.
Yeah. So what? So let's take a peek at this. See,
Oh, look at that.
it's leaking a little bit, which is why it's good to do it in a towel.
Oh.
So
I know.
Right.
I overshook.
that's okay. It happens. And so we're going to take a look, and you want to make sure all the dye is dissolved, because if not, you get little dots of color which are not very attractive.
How do
Okay.
you tell? Would it be floating?
You would see little dots on the side.
So I'm a good shaker.
You're a good shaker. Now this is pretty much, you can see this is all dissolved too. There's no more little grains of soda ash.
You're a good shaker too.
You're a good shaker too. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to put those two together.
Don't drink this.
Don't drink that. And I'm going to stir it up. And I'm going to, let's move this out of the way. Now I'm going to carefully pour it over here.
Wow, that's so pretty.
Carefully only because I don't want to make too much of a mess.
Just a little mess is fine.
Just a little mess.
Wow, that is so
There we
pretty.
go. And then I'm just going to set this aside. And I'm going to let that sit there for 2 hours. And that's all you have to do.
Well, that's easy. Even I can do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, we're moving on to technique number 3.
Okay.
And that's going to be folding. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure up my dye and my soda ash. I'm going to combine them and I'm going to put them into here and then you'll see what comes next.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
on with the mask.
We'll step
Okay,
back a little.
Okay,
I'll be out of the way.
so I'm going to do my dye. And that's it.
Oh, I get to shake again.
You did. But yeah, make sure you wrap it up in there so. And then I'm going to put this on here.
I'll do it gently this time.
Yeah.
I leaked last time.
Yeah,
Poor shaking.
it happens.
Leaks happen.
You need some
do.
martini lessons.
And then we're
I'll
going to do
hook
the
you up.
soda ash.
I can sign up for that.
Okay, Galen, springing into action.
I sprung.
Okay, now I can take this off. Now I'm
Oh,
gonna.
too hard. Too hard.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I want to.
So now I'm gonna. Galen pre-folded this for me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fold that back up to where it was and kind of press it down a little bit. Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
So this is the effect that we're going for. So I'm going to take this and then I'm going to kind of, we're going to fit this into here, so I'm going to have to kind of wrap this around just a little bit. So it's going to fit in because it's just going to sit in there. All right, can you hold that for me?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look. So we're going to combine it. We've got our dye and we've got our soda ash. We're going to put those two together.
You're like kind of like a mad scientist there.
Ooh. It does sometimes feel like that.
So you're not
Stir it up.
super exact about the water here.
Nope.
Okay.
I am not. I am never super exact. So I'm going to pour some in here. Now, Galen, since your hands are mostly clean and mine are not, I'm going to have you just set that in there. Now, is this under the camera? Can you see? So I'm going to move this over. So what's happening is that I don't want the dye to come up too high because I don't want it to cover the whole
So
thing
that's
because
coming
I
up
want
like
to get
3/8 of an inch
So
or
I'm going to just carefully pour in a little bit more dye so it comes up a little bit higher, kind of like that. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to set this over next to the other one. And that also is going to sit in there for 2 hours. Okay? That's how long it takes for the dyes to
Okay.
work.
Okay.
Okay?
We will have time for martinis then.
We will. All right. Let's get set up for the last technique.
That sounds good.
All right. Okay, so for our last technique for today, we're going to show you how to do
I think this is my
a
favorite.
gradation from one
Love
color
this.
to
Yeah.
another. Okay, now I've already got my dyes mixed up because you've already seen that, so you've got that down. So what we're going to do, so take the lid off that one,
Okay.
and then just very slowly start to pour some of the dye out.
Oh.
And this is
Pour it
on wet kraft.
This is on wet kraft-tex, yes. So I'm going to get it, and then we're just going to slowly meet in the middle.
Oh wow, this is so cool.
It's like finger painting.
It is,
Yeah.
but way more fun.
Okay.
Ready?
Here we go. Okay, ready? Oh no!
Yes, that's exactly what we want.
Oh wow, look at that.
So
That is
now we can blend it as much or as little as we want. So we
Oh,
can
this
We'll
is-
put a little blue onto the red.
we
Yeah.
can do a little more just blending.
Oh, that looks fabulous.
And we can just, actually, we can just leave it just
That's
like that.
really pretty.
And it's gonna,
Yeah.
the color's gonna move a little bit more. So
Shift.
the more, it'll shift, the more you touch it, the more it moves.
Now,
So-
is it going to soak through, or is the bottom going to stay fairly white? How
The
does-
bottom will on this one will I don't want to touch it because on this one the bottom will probably stay fairly white. If we wanted to, we could flip it over and do the same thing on the other side
After it
if it was
dries.
important. Or now, you know, it depends on how messy you want to get.
Yeah.
But basically that's it. So, okay, I can't resist. I just want a little more
purpley.
I just want a little more purpley in the middle. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to, I could pick it up and I could, yep. I could pick up and I could tip it. I could get the colors to run together more. But that's the idea of how you get the blend.
So
and then
cool.
you just leave it there.
And then what you're going to do is we're going to take this plastic, we're going to fold it up over here, and we're going to let it sit overnight.
Oh, so then the plastic is gonna like make it squishies.
The plastic will actually give it some more patterns. So whenever you apply dye directly to your material, you need to let it sit overnight.
Okay.
Cool. And that's it. So you now have 4 techniques for dyeing your own kraft-tex. You can make it any color that you want. You can do all sorts of interesting and fun patterns. We could have dyed some cotton to coordinate with our colored kraft-tex. You can dye it over white. You can dye it over the lighter color, the natural or the gray.
Okay.
You're all experts now.
Yay!
Yay!
So I'd like to say it's been only a couple of days, but it's been a few more than a couple of days.
Yeah, it's been almost 4 days.
4 days.
Ooh.
So the dyes and the things that we did sat in their dye over a weekend. And then I'd also like to say we took them out and rinsed them, but we didn't. Tristan did. Thank you, Tristan.
Yeah, rinsed and rinsed and rinsed.
Rinsed and rinsed. It did take a lot of rinsing. So make sure you keep your gloves on for the rinsing because the dye does still stay in there.
There was a lot of dye coming out. I did watch her momentarily to give more moral support.
Excellent.
There was a lot coming out.
So this is the first one we did, right?
Yeah,
we crumpled it in, we meaning Lynn, crumpled it in, put it in the cup, and poured the dye over. I think if we had left it for less than the full weekend, it would have had more white as well, don't you think?
I think so, yeah. It's very vivid.
Yeah.
And look, we got a special bonus pattern.
I love that.
Yeah, Tristan laid it down to dry on a rack of some sort, and we got this like really cool stripey effect. I actually love that.
I think that's my favorite part. The part I'm taking home from this whole dyeing experience is that you try it and then you get what you get.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And it's better than you maybe had planned it. This is.
And sometimes the accidents are the best part.
Yeah.
So there's that
That's
one.
the first
That
one.
one's very cool.
Okay, what is the second? That's the second one.
This is the second one. This is the one that you pleated so expertly.
Yeah, I did. I got to
You
do
did
something.
pleat it. And then when it was pleated, then we put it in the blue first.
The blue. Mm-hmm.
And then flipped it and put it in red. Or no, it was pink.
Pink.
The magenta, whatever you call it.
Yeah. So it went in a circle
Yeah.
like that. And we put it in the blue. And then we flipped it kind of right away. It
Yeah.
didn't stick in blue long.
No.
We put it in the pink, and it stayed in the pink much longer.
Yeah. It definitely got heavy on the pink.
Yeah, that's so cool. And this is on
yeah.
natural. The
Yes.
first one was on white, and that one's on natural.
And this, I love this one. This is the one we poured the two colors and then Lynn squished it in the middle.
Yeah.
I think that one's really
And
pretty.
painting it.
And that one's on white too. And that's the back side.
Okay, because that's
So-
right. We left the backside alone.
Yeah.
You could have flipped it and done it.
Yeah, we didn't want to mess with it
Yeah,
because
we
it was
did that
looking
and
so
folded the
pretty.
plastic over.
Yeah, so that had plastic on top. This one didn't get as much. Remember with Lynn's had, it almost looked like a flower pattern? This one has less.
It's because she uses a heavier
additional.
plastic too. Our plastic
Oh,
was
that's
super
right.
lightweight and it
Yeah.
kind of just set barely on it.
Yeah.
Hers is a little bit heavier. I
Yeah.
think I would actually almost weight it down a little bit to get some
That'd
of
be
that
cool.
texture. It
Yeah.
was really cool looking.
I kind of like the back
do
too,
too.
actually. It came out kind of neat. Look, we got a bonus.
Yay!
This is our scrap.
So this is after the cameras
is
stopped.
gray.
So you were not invited to the classroom at that time. We had extra
just as
dye.
well.
You never want to just throw away your extra dye.
Oh, yeah.
So she had another piece. Lynn had another piece of kraft-tex,
gray.
and she crumpled it up and threw it in there, mostly with the blue. And then she had a little of the pink left too that she just put
kinda
on top.
Dumped on top, and then boom, just left it. It was totally random, but I love this one.
Yeah.
I like how random it looks. It's just really cool.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for joining us.
Yeah, that
we
was
learned
really
a lot
fun.
about
We're gonna
actually
have to have
doing
more
it.
guest professors. That was really fun.
Yeah, and we can actually do some dyeing too.
Yes, I want to try this.
Yeah.
This is kind of easy and fun.
So homework for this time is to try dyeing yourself, right?
That's right.
Don't dye yourself. Wear gloves. Try dyeing some kraft-tex on your own.
Yes.
And post the results and hashtag on Pinterest and Instagram, hashtag kraft-tex university, all one word, no
That's right.
hyphens.
And there's Do we tell them about
the instructions?
Are
There's
down
a
below.
PDF, a link below that you can download and print for
From
your
Lynn.
own.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's it. Class
Great.
dismissed.
Thank you. Are you going or am I going?
I'll go.
Okay, you go.
Because I think you're a little bit too negative right now. No. The visual art of art quilting.
The visual guide.
Visual
to
guide
art.
to art quilting. Visual art to guide quilting. That's the dramatic kind of noise we needed when we mentioned dying.
They're throwing the bodies into the
you wanna
dumpster.
add-
Dying.
Yeah, we are. We're
Dying. We're dying.
We're dying. That's what we're doing.
Because they do outtakes, you know.
Okay, so
Don't grab a boob or anything. That kind of
Yeah.
sound.
Been there, done that. Luckily, it was my own and not hers.
No
You won't
touching
do.
a body part.
No, I'm not doing that ever again on camera. I did? Again? I must have a subconscious thing. No. No.
It's her, not me, right? Yes! It's. I'm not going to say it until you turn off the camera. You didn't turn it off. I'm not a sucker.